From the Mapleview Animal Hospital studios, this is the WHTC Morning News with Gary Stevens and Peg McNichol on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
Welcome back to the WHTC Morning News for this Tuesday, February 16th. Tuesday mornings, we have a chance to catch up with what's going on in Washington with one of the two men who represent the Lakeshore on Capitol Hill. He is Congressman Fred Upton of St. Joseph. He joins us via the Zoom connection. Fred, good morning, and welcome back to WHTC. We missed you the last few weeks.
Well, I missed you. I think I was on Wednesday last week, so we've had a couple of little adjustments. I got a feeling next week I may be on a plane for the Tuesday, so we'll figure something out. But good to be with you. And I got rid of my little lake effect snow on my driveway already, so it's been a good morning.
We're ready to go. A lot of things to talk about going on in Washington. First of all, let's deal with what is happening or will happen tonight in Milwaukee. It looks as if President Biden will make his first trip as the chief executive. Air Force One landing in Milwaukee. Town hall meeting to tout his latest stimulus plan, almost $2 billion in it. Some Republicans are balking. Others are saying, hey, we need the help to get the people and cost me, you know what?
Well, it's actually $2 trillion.
Okay.
And right now, I have to say it's a very partisan bill. We did committee markups, that is moving all the different bills through the committees last week on Zoom. So Ag Committee, Ways and Means Committee, my committee I serve on, Energy and Commerce, Education Committee. We all worked Zooms. It was a 2-day markup last week. One of them lasted until almost midnight. But at the end of the day, and this was true for every single committee, not a single Republican amendment was adopted. So this is a purely partisan deal. Yes, we need another COVID package. Got to make sure that the unemployment, which expires next month, continues for folks. We want more money for testing, and I was actually going to go to a facility today in Kalamazoo, but the weather socked me in, so I didn't make it. A lot of our schools, of course, are closed. You might probably reported that up there as well. But at the end of the day, this package, a $15 minimum wage. I was at a new small business opening last week, a new meat market in downtown St. Joe. $15 minimum wage. I don't know if they're going to be open. It would be a killer for a lot of, particularly our restaurants, but the ag sector as well, literally almost doubling the minimum wage in Michigan. Maybe it's good in New Jersey and San Francisco, but it's not good in a lot of other places. So this bill needs to focus, I think, just on COVID relief. And I'm sure that if they could do that, it would pass by a broad margin in both the House and the Senate. At this point, I got to say, and I know the president's going to be selling it tonight. I intend to watch on TV. It really is partisan. They can muscle it through. Maybe the margin in the House is 4 votes. I sure don't know how they're going to get a minimum wage bill through the Senate with a 50-50 tie. You only need a majority under this procedure, unlike the normal 60 votes. But I just have to believe that that's going to get jettisoned. But we'll see. We'll see where we are. But it's likely going to be on the House floor as early as next week. And I'm just hoping that, that what the president said, our new president said back on January 20th, that he wants to unify the country, that he wants to work together, he wants to take good ideas from both sides of the aisle. I hope that the first big bill does exactly that. But right now, it's not on it's on the siding. It's not on the main track.
Before we talk about the elephant in the room, let's talk about the RISE Act. It looks like something you're involved with. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, this is a bipartisan bill that we did from last Congress. I think that it would be a good thing to get done. I think, as they're looking to do a number of different things, whether it's justice reform or some other bipartisan bills, this I think would be a good idea. Another idea, of course, and we talked a little bit offline just before we started, a broadband bill, actually in the COVID package that we did, that President Trump signed into law in late December. We included, I think it was $10 billion for broadband. This is going to help our areas. I know I look at our local legislators, my local legislators like Eric Nesbitt and some others have been very, very constructive as we've really tried to push that ball forward. And of course, we know that broadband is an ultimate thing that all of us want. We're going to have an Energy and Commerce Committee retreat next week. I intend to bring up broadband. Let's see what we can do as it relates to getting the FCC to do some spectrum auctions to really divert that money into underserved areas. We've got some new technology. Our electric utilities now are able to do this. I've heard from people all along the coast where right now they don't have broadband, that a number of these utilities can step in and actually provide that service. And these are shovel-ready projects. We can get this now. There was a bill that I co-sponsored last year with Jim Clyburn, the Democratic whip. Obviously, it was a bipartisan bill. And I'm hoping that we can dust that off and move that quickly in the legislative session and get some attention in the Senate to get it done as well.
Fred, there's a couple of other things I want to touch base on, and I call it the elephant in the room. And of course, it deals with the decision last Saturday by the U.S. Senate to acquit former President Trump of the article of impeachment. In the wake of that, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says that she will have the House appoint a commission to investigate and report the facts around the deadly January 6th Capitol riot. Similar to a 9/11 type of commission to be formed. We want to know the facts, but there is some speculation that perhaps the House Speaker and the mayor of Washington was aware of issues before the 6th and was offered more help to protect the Congress, and they declined it. We're hearing that continued morsel brought up. You're in the middle of this. You were involved in terms of being in the area. How true is that? And talk about the commission and being able to sort of sift the facts out.
Well, first of all, I think it's important to get all of the good questions answered and take the time to do it the right way. Obviously, it needs to be bipartisan. I have to believe that there would be overwhelming bipartisan support to get to the bottom of this, both in the House and the Senate. But let's appoint a small commission. Let's figure this out. Let's connect the dots to see who was responsible, who knew what when, and who didn't do what when as well. It's important, as one that witnessed this firsthand. I was in the Capitol that morning. We went back into session, I think it was at 9:00 that night after it was over. A lot of the Capitol had been cleaned up, but literally probably millions of dollars of damage to the Capitol. I picked up some broken glass from the floor. 5 people were killed. 5 people died because of it. A lot of injuries, but it was a real threat. And we got to find the right answers. When was the National Guard called? Who took the call? What was the delay? I know that we're going to be honoring one of the Capitol Police officers, and we saw some of the video this last weekend who literally saved a lot of lives, a lot of legislators' lives in the Senate. I know that same thing happened in the House. When I talked to people that were hunkered down in the House, people like Peter Meyer, I think Bill Huizenga was in there as well. Literally, they led them out of the House chamber, and by minutes, they escaped perhaps execution by some of these folks that were there. So, not a problem on my watch to try and really encourage us to get all the answers, figure out what happened and who knew what when, and try to make sure that this never can happen again.
One final question from Peg McNichol in the newsroom.
Just for clarity, the story we keep hearing is that Nancy Pelosi turned down help prior to this coming in. And is that your sense that she would have turned down extra support? I know she's gotten death threats before January 6th.
Yeah, I've not heard that. I don't know. I guess the right answer is for me, I don't know. I mean, she has a security cordon around her 24/7. She was not, we saw the video over the weekend. We saw her staff in that hallway. And of course, remember that was John Boehner's hallway before. So That is traditionally the the Speaker's hallway, regardless of a Republican or a Democrat. So she would have been safe. She was escorted out of the House chamber. I think they took her to an undisclosed location, as they say it. She didn't go back to her office in the Capitol. So I suspect that she was always safe. I know that Chuck Schumer, the new majority leader, was taken someplace else, and they showed some of that video on Saturday, or I guess it was Friday, last week during the Senate impeachment. But I don't know the right answers as to when the guard was called, who said yes, no, how long did it take? But they were, and I actually saw them from my balcony in my office overlooking Independence Avenue. I saw the guard come, as well as the Virginia State Troopers and others.
And one final question. The decision by the Senate to acquit the former president, you voted for the article of impeachment. Your thoughts now, a couple of days, you've had a chance to sift through it. Your initial thoughts about the decision made by the Senate?
Yeah, well, of course, remember in the House, we're like a grand jury. We send it there. That's where the due process is held. They decided not to have witnesses at the end of the day. I watched part of the hearings or the Senate floor action. I wasn't there. I didn't watch the whole time. I would have, had I had to make a vote, obviously I would have been there, would have decided. But, some of the evidence that came out, and it's been unrefuted, that the Kevin McCarthy called the president, said the folks were just about ready to break into his office. He's on the east side of the Capitol. He perhaps could have seen the gallows that have been erected. Lots of folks breaking into the Capitol in the glass. Called the president. The president said something along the lines of, I guess they're more concerned about the election more than you are. It's been unrefuted. It's the evidence that's out there. No one thought that they would have the 2/3 vote particularly with the president now out of office. But based on the evidence that we had back in January, I felt that I cast the right vote for me to send it to the Senate to have the trial there.
He is Congressman Fred Upton. He joins us Tuesday mornings to talk about what's going on in Washington. If all goes well, let's do this again next Tuesday. If we have to juggle, we'll juggle, but we'd like to chat with you next week.
We'll figure it out.
All right. Thank you very much, Fred Upton, on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.